Today, we are breaking down Kandi Burris's divorce drama, her legal battle with Todd Tucker. Now, Kandi Burris is a singer-songwriter. As a songwriter, she has received multiple writing credits on singles like Bills, Bills, Bills by Destiny's Child, Break Up with Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored by Ariana Grande, and Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. In 2000, she won a Grammy Award for Best R&B Song for her work on the TLC hit song No Scrubs. She has also starred in the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise. Most of us know her from that. On April 4th, 2014, Kandi and Todd Tucker, a former producer of Real Housewives, were married in a lavish ceremony, and this was actually documented in the spin-off from the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise into a documentary show called Kandi's Wedding, which is actually cited in the court filings by both parties. But a little more on that later. On November 20th, 2025, the couple announced their decision to divorce after 11 years of marriage. Kandi filed her petition for divorce on November 21st, 2025. In her petition, she requested a joint physical and legal custody of their minor children. She also states that prior to the marriage, the parties entered into an enforceable prenuptial agreement, and she asked the court to enforce this prenup. In the answer, the husband, Todd Tucker, his attorneys state that the parties were married on April 4th, 2014, and that on this same day, a prenup agreement was presented to him without Tucker having legal counsel present to review it. What does this mean? Right off the bat, Todd Tucker is immediately challenging the validity of this prenup. This actually does touch on what we discussed in my last video when we reviewed the show's All's Fair on Hulu. I do have a link in the description for that video. Definitely go check it out. In my last video, we talked about invalidating prenups. We also talked about duress and how even if you sign a contract, you can later invalidate the contract if you meet the elements of duress. So if you haven't already, definitely go check out that video right now. The link is in the description. That video would also help you understand this video. So go watch it right now, link in the description. So now that you have seen last week's video, you will remember that we discussed for certain contracts, specifically a prenuptial agreement, if you do not have independent legal representation, you may be able to invalidate the contract in court. Also, you will remember from the last video that even if you sign a contract, you can invalidate the contract in court if you signed it under duress. Todd's attorneys look like they're going to argue to invalidate the prenup that he signed. These divorce proceedings are taking place in the state of Georgia, so we're going to examine some of the requirements to invalidate a prenup in the state of Georgia. Georgia follows the case Shira versus Shira decided in 1982. And Shira versus Shira states that even if you have a properly drafted and signed prenup, a judge can refuse to enforce it if a spouse can prove a few things. One of the things, and these are or requirements, the agreement was obtained through a fraud, duress, mistake, or through misrepresentation or non disclosure of material facts. The agreement is unconscionable, that is grossly unfair, or the couple's circumstances have changed since the agreement, making its enforcement unfair and unreasonable. So Tucker is essentially going for the first prong in the Shira case and is going to argue he was under duress when he signed the contract, and so the contract should not be enforceable. A prenup agreement must be entered into voluntarily by both parties if one party can prove that they were forced or coerced into signing the agreement, it may be deemed invalid. So when I read that Todd's attorney in the answer was arguing that the prenup was given to him the day of the wedding, it was definitely surprising because every lawyer knows or should know that a textbook example that is given to students and attorneys everywhere to invalidate a prenup is to present the prenup the day of the wedding. And this is used as an example to show being placed under extreme pressure that renders your act of signing the contract involuntary. So Tucker's attorneys bringing this up immediately in their answer is to let it be known that they are going to argue that Tucker signed this the day of the wedding and was under extreme pressure. And so he did not voluntarily sign the prenup because he was essentially pressured into signing it. So, if you remember what we discussed, Shira, he's essentially going for the first prong of that case, and he's going to argue he was under duress when he signed the contract, and so it should not be enforceable. Again, if you want to learn more about duress, as I stated earlier, we did talk about it a lot in my last video. We also talked about unconscionability. So, again, it's in the link. Check it out. Todd in his filing is also asking for primary physical custody of the children and a final decision-making authority of the children as well. Kandi does reply to this answer and she amends her petition and claims that the prenup is valid and that Todd did have adequate legal representation and that he consented to the prenup on the documentary series we mentioned earlier, Kandi's Wedding. She also requested to have the court seal the court documents from the public because she is a public figure and she don't want us in her business, okay? So, what is the lesson? Whether you're a high net worth celeb like Kandi or just an everyday person, if you are looking into having a partner sign a prenup, give them plenty of time to review the prenup. Do not give it to them the day before, and definitely not the day of the wedding, so you can avoid challenges like this one. Also, make sure you communicate with their legal counsel and that counsel should be independent. Don't make them use your same lawyer to review the contract that you drafted and want them to sign. Make them find their own lawyer and communicate with that lawyer. Give the person signing the prenup plenty of time to review the contract. So, what do you guys think? Should the prenup be thrown out in court? Who should get custody of the children? What do you think about Kandi asking the court to seal these court documents from the public? So, comment your thoughts below. Check out my other videos. Thanks so much for watching. And if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe.